What the hell? Choking on my magic spell. Don't save me. Don't save me. Her mentality in that moment was, nobody's gonna stay. Why, hello, my little flockifers, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back, welcome back. So, I'm back again. And I have another book review versus movie comparison for you guys. And I hope my bonnet kind of gives you a hint. 3 seconds to guess. No guesses? All right, so today I will be reviewing The Color Purple. And yes, somewhat that movie that Whoopi Goldberg was in when she was younger, but mostly the book. And you know, let's get into this video. As per usual now on my channel, doing my makeup while talking to you guys. So let me prime my face. Also, if you guys see me looking off to the side, hopefully this little white square in the corner lets you know what I'm doing, but I'm looking into my makeup mirror because, yeah, I have to. All kind of time. Alrighty. Scotch tape. So, Color Purple. To be honest with you, I hadn't seen the movie until probably June of this year. I know, guys, I'm late to the game. I'm late to the game. You don't gotta tell me, I already know. But I watched it and I freaking loved it. Probably the main reason that I even bothered to go to the book is because my boyfriend was sitting here and he was telling me, he was like, oh yeah, you know, this happened and this happened. And I was like, where are you getting all this information? And found out that they had a book as well. So I did a little bit of an investigation, and found the book on Z Library. So started reading the book probably late July. Yeah, late July I started reading the book. The book was really good. And I finished it recently actually because, you know, I was in the midst of moving twice and that took a lot of energy. However, as soon as I started reading, I just got this, I was overwhelmed with how much information that the movie, they cut it out very well, but how much information that was left out that gave more emphasis to the characters. For example, like how Celie, okay, y'all should know this by now, but I have spoilers in my videos, so if you don't want any spoilers, don't watch. Okay, but anyway, I was amazed at how Celie, she talked about how she could tell her mother hated her pretty much because she pretty much she was forced to take her place and forced to pretty much take on the role as the mom when her mom got sick, and her mother kind of like resented her because she was like, you know, my man is over here wanting you, my daughter. And yeah, so but the way that Celie from a young age was pretty much like, yeah, I'm meant to be hated. I was like, dang, like it just made me feel really bad for her character. And it also emphasized why she just had so many insecurities and why she was just so within herself, because it was like her own mother didn't even really have the balls to stand up for her or let her know that she was like actually worth something. So that was major for me. And then also I like the fact that even though the book is written as like epistles or like letters from Celie to God, that it pretty much has like almost like an omniscient type feeling where all the, like you can tell pretty much what's going on in all the characters' lives. But yeah, like I feel like that added to the book, because the fact that even though Celie didn't know for sure, we had even though Celie didn't know for sure, we had gotten an allusion to the fact that Mr. Had killed Harpo's mother through the letters of Celie and like the rumors that she had heard and everything while listening in. And I was like, oh, that was a clever way to like give background information on a character without taking yourself pretty much like out of the role of another character who was trying to like basically be the narrator of the story. I also didn't know this while watching the movie because like, how could I? But the fact that Mr. is not, it's not just, oh, his name is Mr. It's like Mr. So-and-so. And I swear it has to be Jones or Smith or something like that. Cause I was really thinking about, okay, what name could this be? And I counted the letters and spaces and all that. I was really trying to investigate stuff. But Mr. is actually someone's name. And like, it's like Mr. Blank instead of just Mr. because obviously the movie wasn't gonna be able to depict that, but actually having the book in my hand and seeing that, oh, it's a name that comes after that, she's just blurring it out, I guess. That really helped to give some context to the book, and I was like, oh, that's a cool little asset you added. All right, y'all, I'll be using the James Charles palette to do my face today. And of course, purple inspired makeup. Duh, color purple. Okay, so back to the book. I like how it was written because I could quite easily get through the pages. You know, on some books, it's like you really have to keep track of where you are page-wise, because I mean, no one else is gonna, well, let me rephrase that because that didn't make sense. So let's rewind a little bit. There are some books where you just say, okay, I'm on chapter this. You can't do that with this book because this book has a very different format. Its format is completely unique. It's written out as letters, as I mentioned before. So if you lose track of the page number that you're on, you're going to be searching for a while because you're going to be like, okay, I think I passed this letter. I think I passed this letter, because it's not like the letters are numbered. It's just pretty much like an actual diary. So you have to say, okay, I'm on page this. Let me remember that. Or if you're one of those people who uses a bookmark or turns down your pages, make sure that you continue to do that, or else you'll be lost. Yeah. Where was my train of thought? But anyways, this book feels like it's easier for me to read because it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, this chapter is dragging. Like, when are we moving past this? Like, no, it's more just like free for all thought, which I really enjoyed, because there was never one section of it where I was like, we're spending too much time on this. Can I just skip in time and get to the good part? Like, all of it felt like a good part and all of it felt important, because it wasn't written like a normal book where it's like, okay, this part is super slow and you need to pass this page for it to speed back up because, you know, everything happens in chronological order. Like, no, it was really written out like it was an actual life happening. Like, in life, we don't have, okay, this day is eventful, the next day is eventful, the next day is eventful, the next week is eventful. Like, no, most of the time the eventfulness of a day is kind of spread out. Not the eventfulness of a day, the eventfulness of a certain series is kind of spread out. It's not like it happens all within a week, which I really liked about this book, because you could tell that all the things that were happening in the book were not happening within a week span of time. It was happening over the course of years. And every time a new letter began, it was like, oh, okay, thank you for skipping to this part, because I don't think if you stayed on this part, it would have been as interesting, or you wrote letters detailing the exactness of every moment, it would have been as interesting. Because what did happen is every time the chapter began, the author did a very good job of explaining, okay, so since the last time we talked, X amount has happened. These people do this, these people do this. Like, the author did a very good job at that. So it never felt like, even though you were skipping, it never felt like you were missing a whole bunch, because the author did a very good job of kind of like speed recapping what had been happening over the years. And I just like the fact that, first of all, addresses the LGBTQ plus community. So shout out to that. But also the book, even though it has aspects of romance, it's just a really good book about women empowerment. Damn it, y'all. I should have done this for March, because March is Women's Month. Wow, Raven, of course you would think about this when you already filmed the video. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna continue, because I know by then I'm gonna have forgotten and everything. Sorry if y'all hear my laptop is overheating and stuff, but anyway, it's a very good women empowerment book, and I like it so much because the sisterhood represented in that book is very strong. Like, her and her sister had a very strong bond, and for them to get separated and then years later you see them come back together and reunite, and sorry, spoilers, like I told you, and reunite in one of the best ways possible. It was just really nice to see because of their strong connection. And the moment where she found out that her sister had been writing her all along, and how that just changed her to be like, you know what, before I was tired of your ass, but now I'm really tired of you, because look, you kept me from my sister. Oh, it's no holds barred there. And I was like, it was really easy to pinpoint that as the moment where Celie was just kind of like over Mister, because she really said, okay, wow, like, you did me dirty, and that's okay. But now at this point, you're tampering with my relationship with my sister. And I think that's the point where she really saw how emotionally abusive he had pretty much become to her, because it didn't just affect her, it affected the person she cared about the most and tried to protect the most. So that I can attribute to being pretty much her transition to why she pretty much started to stand up for Mister and started to give him all of his stuff back that he was doing to her, and why she ultimately found the strength to get up and leave the abusive situation she was in. All right, so with that being said, the relationship between she and her sister throughout the book is very prominent. It's not one of those things like, oh, underlying theme. No, it's a very prominent theme. You can't read the book without learning about Celie and Nettie, because their relationship is probably the most important aspect of the book, besides Celie finding her voice. And she finds her voice, I feel like, this is my opinion, so let's not say, Raven, you're wrong, but this is my opinion. I feel like she finds her voice mostly due to her sister. That leads me to talk about like the format of the book. So of course, like I said, it's always written as a letter. But when it first starts out, okay, dear God, written by Celie. And then slowly over time, after she becomes reconnected with her sister and starts to find out basically what she's doing over in Africa, on her missionary journey and everything, it turns into Dear Nettie, as Celie is writing to her sister. And then when the letters come back, it's, you know, of course, Dear Celie from Nettie. And that's how the book pretty much handles switching point of views. So we do find out everything that's going on. We do find out everything that's going on in Africa through Nettie's letters, and we find out what's happening with Celie's children and how they are over there and everything. You learn a lot. So I really liked that transition in the book. Personally, I like it better when I liked the aspect of hearing from Nettie because I wanted to learn about her life, but I always loved in the beginning, I feel like it was necessary to, okay, delete that sentence. In the beginning, I felt like it was necessary to not hear from Nettie because we needed to see how vulnerable Celie was. And then in the end, I think it was imperative that we heard more from Nettie and then slowly saw the transition of how Celie was becoming a more powerful woman and everything like that. Because in those moments, it just kind of forced you to realize like, oh wow, things really, really have changed. It's not like either one of them could hide the fact that they were over here doing two completely different things from the other, and how impactful that was on their lives pretty much. So, like I said, I feel like a lot of Celie's growth comes from her sister. However, a lot of it also comes from the fact that she had a relationship with Suge Avery. She's a singer and everything. She grew up in the church and everything. While I'm on that, I feel like every character introduced probably could have had a book to themselves because every character is explained in so much detail so quickly, and it draws the reader to just focus on them. Like, you could start a whole nother book about how Mr. ended up doing what he did, or like his life with his previous wives, because he's just a toxic person, and his life after Celie left and how it pretty much went to shit. You could talk about all that stuff and it could be a separate book. But particularly Suge Avery and Mr., because I'm still curious about their relationship and everything, and he's really sitting over here telling his kids, oh well, that should have been your mother. She ran off and she did X, Y, and Z, but you know, she should have been your mother. That took me aback. And then I feel like it was funny because some of the only times that Mr. and Celie actually got along or agreed was about Suge Avery and her pretty much like being there. You know, whenever she was present, they pretty much didn't have time to engage in their abusive relationship because they were both really just focused on her. So I thought that was really significant about her being there and everything, because Mr. was so focused on, oh, love of my life is here, that he didn't even notice that Celie was also falling for the love of his life. So that was interesting. And the fact that before Celie really started to get her sister's letters or even realize that, hey, you know, your sister's not dead pretty much, Suge Avery was the one who was trying to get her in touch with her femininity. She's like, no, like, you should smile. Like, I know I called you ugly and everything, which that was funny. But she was like, I know I called you an ugly and everything, but like, come on, you should smile. You have a beautiful smile, because, you know, Celie had always been talked down to about her appearance, especially like, you know, her smiling. She was told never to do stuff like that. So that made me proud of her. Now let's talk about these demon kids that she had to raise while she was there. Harpo, so lucky that Sophia put you in your place. I just want to say that, because I'll be like, he really sat here, and half the times when I get it, he was a child and everything, but he was really playing with her life at some points, because Mr., even though he didn't, I feel like at some points he didn't really care about his kids and he just cared about himself. He cared about his kids more than he cared about Celie, for sure. So if they said something and it wasn't on point to what Celie had said, of course he's not going to take Celie's side. He's going to get angry at her. Like, he's not going to get angry at the kids. So Harpo was just the most intolerable to me. Didn't like him. And then of course he met his wife Sophia. And I feel like even though Sophia was around the same age but slightly younger than maybe a lot younger. Okay, but anyway, the point is, younger than Celie's character, Celie still learned a lot from Sophia. Like, she pretty much had to learn, like, how to be a strong woman, because I feel like the first example that she really saw of that as an adult was with Harpo's relationship with his wife. Yeah, because she punched Harpo back and I was like, ooh, okay. But y'all, so I feel like Sophia was influential in the way that she was just that woman where it's like, I'm gonna beat your butt regardless. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Because throughout the book, we see her beating everybody's butt. So it's really heartbreaking, and it really hits a chord. And especially you can see it hitting a chord with Celie when she sees Sophia. I think it's years later. Because Sophia, again, she could have a book by herself, but she has to go and work for this white family to avoid arrest and everything, which causes her to have to leave her family behind, of course, right? So when she's working for this family, she kind of loses all of that oomph that Sophia had, that oomph to fight. And then when she sees Celie, she's like, okay, well, thank you for reminding me, you know? And I feel she had almost just gone quiet, like, and to see her go from, I'm gonna speak on anybody, anything, even if it does or doesn't involve me, to just being like a hermit and a shell of what she used to be, was very powerful in the book. And I think it hit something with Celie, because it made her realize, well, dang, like, if Sophia can go from being completely strong and independent to having to rely on this family to give her everything she needs, you know, do everything for her, if that can happen to her, then I really need to pretty much get out. That, and the fact that Suge Avery betrayed her before she came back, but betrayed her. So let's talk about Suge Avery for a second. Not only was it, like I said, she had a relationship with Mr., but not only was it rumored around the town and everything that she and Mr. had shared kids, and she was like, you know what, you keep them kids, I'm leaving. That, again, that fact in itself, if it's true, speaks on the women empowerment situation of the book, because it's very rare that you see women leaving their kids and going to pursue their dreams. Normally it's men, so I really like that aspect. But yeah, she left her kids, rumored, but left her kids, went to pursue her dream, and it's said that one of those kids might be Harpo. But again, these are rumors, so it's not really confirmed. But you know, town gossip, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. Anywho, we saw Suge Avery pretty much come in, and like I said before, Mr. and Celie, why do I keep forgetting this child's name? Mr. and Celie, they were not at each other because they were at her. They were all over Suge Avery, talking about whatever you need, baby doll. Like, all over her, you know, pretty much making sure she got what she needed, that she was taken care of, because, you know, she was not doing well when she arrived at Mr.'s when Celie was there. She was just everywhere, alcoholic. She was not living her best life, which I feel like, while she helped Celie to pretty much come to terms with her life, and her position in society, and the fact that you can do more, I feel like Celie helped Suge come to the realization that, hey, you know, you're not just the town slut, pretty much. Sorry for the language, but that's not all you are. Just because you're treated like that, it doesn't mean that it's true. You know, you can do more with your life, pretty much all of that. And I feel like that was important to Suge's character and everything, that character growth, because she helped Celie. So why not Celie help her? But I feel like that pretty much goes downhill because Suge is like, you know what? I'm gonna leave you for a man because I'm just too weak. Which it seemed in the moment very hypocritical, because you've just been telling Celie this entire time, you can do more with yourself. You can. And then you go and leave her after y'all done have relations and everything. You go and leave her for a man. So it didn't really make sense. Of course she comes back and, you know, love story. But you left. Like, so I feel like in those moments though, Celie pretty much grew the most, because she was like, wow, if this woman who really sat here and taught me how to be a woman myself can get up and just leave me and go do X, Y, and Z and all of that and the third, then I really, like, you know what? I love you enough to let you go. And I feel like that's pretty much the conclusion that she had come to with life in general at that point, because she had her sister leave. She had so many people pretty much just leave her in life and be like, you know what, Celie, you're not worth it. There's someone else better. There's somewhere else better. And get up and leave her. That she was like, you know what, I got to do it for myself at this point, because her mentality in that moment was, nobody's going to stay. So if nobody's going to stay, I got to be the strong one, because no one's going to be there to give me all the reassurance that I need. Like, I got to give it to myself, you know? That was her mentality at that moment. So
you can talk about how much your boyfriend loves The Color Purple, and then he's going to go see it on Broadway. He's going to go see the musical in October. That's what you can say. And you can end it like this. And how much you love your boyfriend.
So my boyfriend is going to see Color Purple on Broadway. I love him so much.
Thank you.
But no, back to what I was really saying though. The movie did an amazing job at covering this story. Like, you know, most times it's like, okay, dang, the movie cut out so much. Like, they couldn't put at least a little bit more in there. But no, genuinely, this movie did such a good job at condensing what they had while including the important parts. That's probably why the movie's so long now, because they had so much to include in there. Even now, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what else can I tell them? Because it's so much to this book, and there's so many aspects of it where it's like, okay, let me talk about this, let me talk about this, let me talk about that. And it's like, there is so much that I can't even sit here and explain to you, the audience. Speaking of, if you're watching me, go subscribe, go like, watch the rest of the videos on my channel, because I know you like me. You've gotten this far into the video. I mean, come on now. But there's so much in the book that I haven't even grazed on, because the book covers so many topics. It's like I'm at a loss for words, because like I don't even know how to be like, to even begin to explain some of the concepts that were introduced in the book, because it's so well written. And it's I know it seems like, oh, there's so much in the book, but that so much in the book is allowed to happen because of the way the author wrote it. Like, it's not written like day by day, night by night, hour by hour. It's written like, okay, you could be reading a part where it's you know, 10 years before, and then go and you skip to 5 years, and it's like, wow, like the amount of time it's covered very quickly. So it never feels like, okay, she's been 16 forever, or she's been a child forever. When are we gonna see her as an adult? It never feels like that. And I'm very happy, because the book is just written so well. Alrighty, y'all. So after a long review, I want to reflect. Who do I like the most? I have to say, I probably like, that was a strong emphasis, Raven. I probably like Nettie the most. Just because her level-headedness, I was like, yeah, I could get with that. Versus everyone else, I just felt like there was always something, always some problem. And I wasn't here for half of them half the time. So I appreciated Nettie the most just because she gave me what I needed throughout the story. It was never a moment where I was like, Nettie, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. But I had that moment with every other character. So she was my favorite. Most hated character, it's either Mr. or Celie's father figure that wasn't actually her father, we found out. And I feel like it was tied between both of them, because both of them, the way they really preyed on these young girls was extremely disgusting to me. Like, I'm just looking at you like a grown man, and what are you doing? Like, I was actually very disappointed. And no. Just no. No. So, out of 10, what am I rating the book version? I'm gonna give it 9. I can't give it a 10 just because, like, I wanted to know more about every single character. That's more of a personal problem than it is a book problem. But I really wanted to know more about every single character. And I feel like this book should have had a sequel, should have had, like, so many other things, just because I was left with many, many questions. But, what?
It does have a sequel.
Okay, who does the sequel focus on?
I think the sequel focuses on theory, but I don't believe it's written in the same format. It's more novel-based than letter-based, like the original one. But it's 2 books that follow The Color Purple.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go and print a retraction. So it to correct myself, it does have a sequel, but I just feel like, okay, almost like a prequel, I'll say that. A prequel, probably more what I want rather than the sequel. And I say that because, also guys, sorry my nose is really red, but also allergy season is real for me. But I wanted it to have like a prequel because there's so much that I wanted to know about all the other characters that I just never found out. And maybe, like I said, it's probably a personal problem. They're probably like, well, you were never meant to know that stuff. You were never meant to know that stuff. But I'm just very curious. Like, I wanted to know, like, pretty much what all the other characters were doing while Celie was out here living her life. And yeah, that's the only reason it's a 9 for me. You know, I have selfish intent, I know. But 9 for that reason. That's pretty much my only bites for the book. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, well, it was also this and that and that. No, like, that's literally the only con to the book, and it's not even a con. It's just me wanting to know more, which, can you blame me? It's a good book. Yeah. Alrighty, y'all. So, I think the real question is, would I read Color Purple again? Yes, I would. Yes, I already said it's a 9 out of 10. I actually really liked it. And normally I don't read a lot of books like that. Like, I prefer to stay out of things that were written real early, just because I personally, I'm just gonna be like, listen, I want something upbeat. A little something upbeat. But with this, I was not as focused on the fact that it's not so light and teary and air and all that. Like, I just genuinely enjoyed the book. With that being said, I feel like the movie did do the book justice. And the book, oh my gosh, thank you for giving the movie an amazing base to start with. And if you haven't read The Color Purple or seen the movie or done both, I think you should definitely read it again, read it for the first time, watch the movie, watch it again and again and again, because it was really good. And I want to thank you all for tuning into my channel once again. And while you're here, of course, as always, click on another video. I mean, I have content now. I am so thankful to have you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.